Hello, you're watching News 9 Live. Our top story at this hour is about COVID. The country is seeing an upward tick of COVID-19 cases in several states. The number of active cases now stand at 4,170. In the last 24 hours, 3 deaths have been reported from Karnataka. A cabinet subcommittee meeting has been called today to review the situation. The purpose is to deliberate on the recommendations put forth by the Technical Advisory Committee concerning additional steps to address the COVID-19 situation in the state. Not only Karnataka, several other states are also taking guard in view of the spread of the new subvariant JN.1. Although it is not causing severe infections or hospitalizations, those with comorbidities are particularly vulnerable. The WHO has classified JN.1 as a variant of interest and asked Southeast Asian countries to scale up surveillance and take protective measures. More information on your screen right now. Above 65 with diabetes or cardiac disease, cancer, etc. are in the highly vulnerable category. JN.1 is seen to be capable of evading immune responses. JN.1 has the potential to affect a large number of people. What are the preventive measures? Of course, booster shots and also what we have done during COVID, social distancing, wearing masks and washing hands frequently, keeping them sanitized and clean under any circumstances. What are the symptoms of JN.1? There is of course fever, there is coughing, there is discomfort in the nasal passages, sore throat, runny nose, pain or pressure within the face, headache, gastrointestinal issues. So, almost mimicking the symptoms that you get in a normal flu. Those are the symptoms of JN.1. And let me now go across to Mohammad Wajiullah, my colleague who is live from Bengaluru, to speak about the status and what exactly is the government now planning. Vaji, good morning to you. Vaji, tell me something that Karnataka, I think in comparison, I know that comparisons are odious, but when it comes to Karnataka, they've always been taking very, very good precautionary measures. We did a show about how Kerala is not as proactive as Karnataka has been. I see that, there is a TAC meeting which has happened, subcommittee meeting. So, what is the next? Because what have you been hearing? Because, Vaji, what I've been reading is vaccination. Should they still go for those who did not get vaccinated to kind of focus on them? So, what all is happening, Vaji?
Good afternoon, ma'am. The meeting today is supposed to happen at around 2 o'clock. The Health Ministry, Dinesh Gundurao, has called for it. It's a subcommittee meeting to take into the recommendations that the TAC has given them. Now, this has happened after we've seen 125 cases just recently, and with regards to 3 deaths that have happened. But what has come out of the meeting, what is going to come out of the meeting is not going to be anything different, is what I'm catching from my sources. Because as of now, the government is not implementing any strict restrictions. They don't believe that the variant is going to be as destructive as as the COVID variants were in the past few years. From what we've also learned is out of the 400 cases so far in Karnataka, 436 cases so far in Karnataka, 400 of them are in home isolation. So it is just like a mild fever, cough, like you had mentioned about the symptoms. So all they've asked the people is to maintain their own COVID protocols that were there in place when the COVID situation was at its peak. Make sure you are wearing your mask, make sure you're sanitizing your place, your hand, and your surrounding, and you're maintaining distance when you're in a crowd or sort. This is what is the advisory that the state government has given out. It also, as we also know that the December month in Karnataka and in places in Bangalore especially is a festive season where you have your Ur Habbas, where you have your Christmas celebrations, and then followed by New Year's. Now, till yesterday, yesterday was Christmas, and today we have seen out of 125 cases that have come up, new cases. Now, as per New Year celebrations are on, there have been no restrictions as placed, no stringent lockdown or no form of no form of, they've not stopped any gathering or sort.
All right.
All these things have been allowed as of now. It now remains to be seen how people get immune to the virus, or how we cope up with this current situation, or how the situation will unfold in the coming few days.
Badullah, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast and bringing us up to speed on the COVID situation in Karnataka. Let's move on and let's get on to the next item on the anvil. The Indian Navy is set to commission its newest stealth-guided missile destroyer Imphal at Naval Dockyard, Mumbai. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh shall be presiding over the ceremony as the chief guest. Notably, Imphal is the first warship named after a city in the northeast, signifying the region's strategic importance. Delivered on 20th of October, Imphal successfully test-fired the extended-range supersonic BrahMos missile in November 2023 before commissioning. The induction of the Imphal destroyers marked the formal entry of the third Visakhapatnam class of destroyer, crafted by the Indian Navy's Warship Design Bureau and built by Mazgaon Dock Limited, Mumbai, into the Navy's fleet. The vessel features a state-of-the-art surveillance radar, furnishing target data to the ship's gunnery weapon systems. Its anti-submarine warfare capabilities include indigenously developed rocket launchers, torpedo launchers and ASW helicopters. Imphal is adept at combat under nuclear, biological and chemical warfare conditions, showcasing high automation and stealth features that augment its combat prowess and survivability. India has deployed 3 warships in the Indian Ocean region. The stepped-up security in the region comes in the wake of an attack on merchant ship Chem Pluto in the region. The merchant ship was brought to Mumbai on Monday, and the Navy has carried out preliminary assessment of the debris found on the ship. Iran, meanwhile, has strongly refuted the U.S. claim that it attacked an Indian vessel in the Arabian Sea. A spokesperson of Iran's foreign ministry said, quote unquote, U.S. accusation is baseless. The Pentagon had accused Iran of launching the drone attack on the chemical tanker 200 nautical miles southwest of Verawal Coast, Gujarat on Saturday.
पश्चिमी अफ्रीकी देश लाइबेरिया का एक मर्चेंट शिप संयुक्त अरब अमीरात से निकला था। उसे हिंदुस्तान के मैंगलोर तट पर जाना था, लेकिन गुजरात के पोरबंदर तट से लगभग 220 नॉटिकल माइल पर अज्ञात मिसाइल या ड्रोन से इस शिप पर हमला किया गया था, जिसके बाद आग लग गई। उसके बाद में उस शिप पर मौजूद क्रू मेंबर्स ने मदद की मांग की भारतीय एजेंसियों से, जिसके बाद में कोस्ट गार्ड की शिप को रवाना किया गया था और 25 दिसंबर को अब ये शिप मुंबई पोर्ट ट्रस्ट पहुंची है। मुंबई के गेट ऑफ इंडिया के सामने से ही इस शिप को मुंबई पोर्ट ट्रस्ट की तरफ लेकर जाया गया है, जहां पर इस शिप में जो भी क्रू मेंबर्स हैं उनसे पूछताछ की जाएगी। साथ ही साथ में जो अज्ञात हमला किया गया था, पहले ये जानकारी दी गई थी कि ड्रोन अटैक है और उसके बाद में ये बात भी सामने आ रही है कि दरअसल एक मिसाइल अटैक भी हो सकता है। तो तमाम एजेंसियां जो है, कह सकते हैं कि मल्टीपल एजेंसियां जो है इस पूरे मामले की तफ्तीश में लगी हुई है। साथ साथ में जो क्रू मेंबर्स थे, कुल 22 क्रू मेंबर बताए जा रहे हैं, उन सभी से पूछताछ की जाएगी ताकि ये हमला कैसे हुआ और किस तरह का मलबा इस वक्त शिप पर मौजूद है उसको लेकर जानकारी इकट्ठा की जाए, क्योंकि ऐसा पहली बार हुआ है इतिहास में कि भारतीय समुद्री सीमा के अंदर जो है इस तरह का इतना बड़ा हमला हुआ है, किसी मालवाहक जहाज पर अटैक हुआ है। क्योंकि किसी भी देश में जो समुद्री सीमा होती है वो 200 नॉटिकल माइल की होती है और 200 नॉटिकल माइल के बाद यानी कि और अधिक 20 नॉटिकल माइल के आगे यह हमला समुद्री सीमा में किया गया, जो कि कहीं ना कहीं ये दिखाता है कि एक बड़ी साजिश हो सकती है, क्योंकि ये जो शिप है वो लाइबेरिया की शिप है, इसे हिंदुस्तान आना था। चूंकि पेंटागन की तरफ से ये बयान आया था कि इस हमले के पीछे ईरान हो सकता है, हूती का इस्तेमाल इस हमले के पीछे किया गया हो, इसे तमाम तरह के आकलन, तमाम तरह की बातें कही जा रही है। लेकिन हिंदुस्तान में इस शिप की एंट्री के बाद में इसे बॉम्बे पोर्ट ट्रस्ट लाया गया है, जहां पर मल्टीपल एजेंसियां इस पूरे मामले की तफ्तीश कर रही हैं।
Moving on, the Army has transferred a brigadier and 3 officers in Poonch Rajouri sector. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey assessed the security situation post the Dera Ki Gali encounter during a visit to the region. A multi-agency investigation is also taking place on the recent ambush by terrorists in the area that resulted in the deaths of Army personnel. The Army Chief reviewed the security situation in J&K with senior commanders. The A340 aircraft with 303 Indian passengers that was grounded in France over suspected human trafficking landed in Mumbai in the early hours of Tuesday. The CISF questioned the passengers and many were allowed to leave after questioning. The aircraft was headed to Nicaragua but was grounded on a technical halt last week by authorities at the Vatry airport in France. The flight was headed from Dubai to Nicaragua. The Indian embassy coordinated with the French authorities to fly the aircraft back to Mumbai. The plane was grounded after a tip-off that the airlines was involved in human trafficking. The anonymous tip led to the French authorities swinging into action and opening out an investigation. India was given consular access to the 303 passengers aboard the flight. News coming in from Tamil Nadu, taking cognizance of the Tamil Nadu Directorate of Vigilance and Anti-Corruption FIR, the ED registered enforcement case information report to initiate money laundering investigation against ED officer Ankit Tiwari. Tiwari is an enforcement officer who was caught red-handed while allegedly receiving a bribe of 20 lakhs in Dindigal. The Madurai Thalakulam police had registered a case against 15 ED officials for preventing DVAC officials from performing their duties when they raided the ED's Madurai zonal office in connection with ED officer Ankit Tiwari. It's that time of the year in the national capital. A dense fog blankets Delhi's second day in a row. The visibility was reduced to 50 meters in several areas of the capital, impacting both rail as well as air operations. 5 Delhi-bound flights were diverted to Jaipur and around 25 flights were delayed. The northern railways have also been hit by the dense fog. 14 trains were delayed because of very low visibility. These are the visuals coming in from Aligarh. Look at that dense blanket of fog in Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh. This visual on your screen coming from Punjab, but in particular Ludhiana, where there is a dense fog even as traffic is on the roads, but making visibility nearly impossible. This is of course from Jammu and Kashmir. This is Srinagar on your screens right now, where you see headlights are on. It could be even the early hours of the day, but that is the situation right now. Almost the entire North India is shivering and under the blanket of thick fog. This is Agra, and I wonder that if people can even view the beautiful Taj Mahal, because look at that city under a cloud of dense fog, people shivering. People are also they are out, but you see that very few people are out considering visibility is rather low. Abhi. Time for a break now, but I'm coming right back with lots more. Stay with us.
This was intended to be a terrorist spectacular without precedent.
The plan was to bomb 2 Air India passenger aircrafts simultaneously.
There was a loud explosion and the whole plane just vanished.
The police dropped the ball, the intelligence officers dropped the ball, and the politicians dropped the ball.
It was a conspiracy that destroyed my life. It destroyed 331 lives.
News is now content. Just stream it. Download the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
Welcome back. Roads in Himachal Pradesh are witnessing heavy traffic congestions as several tourists have started to throng to hill stations in the state for Christmas and New Year celebration. In order to beat the traffic, a tourist found an indigenous way by ditching the roads for a drive across a river. Look at that on your screen. In the video, the tourist was seen driving a Mahindra Thar SUV through the Chandra River in Lahaul Valley. I hope this is safe, but then what do you do when the roads are full up? So this man takes the route of the river, but instead of a boat, he's sitting in his jeep and actually perhaps driving where it's the water levels are not very high, and maybe allowing the jeep to float wherever the water levels go up. There you have it, unique way of reaching your destination. But then this is what the driver is doing. You know, you would be advised not to please try it ever on your own. Aditya L1 spacecraft nears a critical phase, insertion into the halo orbit around Lagrange Point, that is L1, balancing gravitational forces between the Earth and Sun. Launched on 2nd of September 2023 from Sriharikota, the spacecraft's meticulous journey spans 15 lakh kilometers in space. The final leg concludes on 6th of January 2024, demanding precision in navigation for successful insertion into L1. Position at L1, Aditya L1 shall observe the Sun continuously, studying solar phenomenon's impact on Earth. This mission, with instruments like VELC and SOOT, holds global significance for solar research, requiring constant monitoring, protection from solar radiation and strategic maneuvers to maintain orbit stability at the unstable Lagrange Point. Prime Minister Modi participated in the Veer Bal Divas program at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. The government organized nationwide participative programs to inform and educate citizens, especially the young ones, about the exemplary courage of the Sahibzades. The initiative commemorates the martyrdom of Sri Guru Gobind Singh's sons, Sahibzadas Baba Zorawar Singh Ji and Baba Fateh Singh Ji, as announced by the Prime Minister on the Prakash Purab of Sri Guru Gobind Singh on 9th of January 2022.
देशभक्ति का राष्ट्रभक्ति का जज्बा भरा नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने आजाद हिंद फौज के अपने
पिछले वर्ष देश ने पहली बार 26 दिसंबर को वीर बाल दिवस के तौर पर मनाया था। तब पूरे देश में सभी ने भाव विभोर होकर साहिबजादों की वीर गाथाओं को सुना था। वीर बाल दिवस भारतीयता की रक्षा के लिए कुछ भी कुछ भी कर गुजरने के संकल्प का प्रतीक है। ये दिन हमें याद दिलाता है कि शौर्य की पराकाष्ठा के समय कम आयु मायने नहीं रखती। ये उस महान विरासत का पर्व है जहां गुरु कहते थे, सूरा सो पहचानिए, सूरा सो पहचानिए, जो लड़ाई दिन के हेत पुरजा पुरजा कट मरे। माता गुजरी गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी, साहिबजादों की वीरता और आदर्श आज भी हर भारतीय प्रतिम शौर्य और उनको जन्म देने वाली माता के प्रति राष्ट्र की सच्ची श्रद्धांजलि है। आज मैं बाबा मोतीराम मेहरा, उनके परिवार की शहादत और दीवान टोडरमल की भक्ति को भी श्रद्धापूर्वक याद कर रहा हूं। हमारे गुरुओं के प्रति अगाध भक्ति राष्ट्र भक्ति का जो जज्बा जगाती है, ये उसकी मिसाल थे। मेरे परिवारजनों, मुझे खुशी है कि वीर बाल दिवस अब अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर भी मनाए जाने लगा है। इस वर्ष अमेरिका, ब्रिटेन, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड, यूएई और ग्रीस में भी वीर बाल दिवस से जुड़े कार्यक्रम हो रहे हैं। भारत के वीर साहबजादों को पूरी दुनिया और ज्यादा जानेगी, उनके महान कर्तृत्व से सीखेगी।
And in some international news, Donald Trump has appealed to a Washington, D.C. court to dismiss charges related to subverting the 2020 election. In a filing on 23rd of December, Trump's lawyers argued that he is immune from liability for actions taken while serving as president. This move follows the U.S. Supreme Court's decision not to expedite a request by the special counsel Jack Smith to consider the question of presidential immunity from prosecution. The filing maintains that Trump was acting in an official capacity to ensure election integrity and therefore is immune from criminal prosecution for, within quotes, official acts. News coming in from Pakistan. The mastermind behind the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Hafiz Saeed, is fielding candidates for various national and provincial assembly constituencies in Pakistan's upcoming 8th of February general elections. Saeed, founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba or LET, has been in jail since 2019 for terror finance convictions. His candidates will contest the polls under the political front, the Pakistan Markazi Muslim League or PMML. Saeed's son, Talha Saeed, is contesting from Lahore's NA 127C. In the year 2018, Saeed's front, the Milli Muslim League, had failed to secure any seats. He is now using the PMML front due to a ban on MML. Hafiz Saeed, a UN designated terrorist, leads JUD, the frontal organization for LET responsible for the 2008 Mumbai attacks that claimed 166 lives. A multitude of individuals amassed in front of the Central Election Commission building in Belgrade on Monday, expressing their dissent over an election held earlier this month that international monitors deemed unfair.
Thousands of Serbians took to the streets of the capital Belgrade on Monday, protesting the results of an election that international monitors said was unfair. Earlier in the day, students blocked the streets outside of ministry buildings, banging pots and chanting disclosed ballot lists. Protesters are demanding an inspection of voters' lists for snap parliamentary elections held last weekend that saw the ruling Serbian Progressive Party hold power with over 46% of votes, according to State Election Commission preliminary results. An international monitoring mission said the SNS gained an unfair advantage through media bias, the improper influence of President Aleksandar Vučić, and voting irregularities such as vote buying. Vučić said the elections were fair and authorities deny any irregularities. Protesters on Sunday broke windows at the main entrance of Belgrade's town hall before police used pepper spray to disperse them. Opposition parties accused police of excessive force. Police said 38 people had been detained and that 8 policemen were injured in the clashes. Protesters on Monday marched to the main police station where they believed those detained by police were being held. Protesters led by the center-left alliance Serbia Against Violence expressed little faith in the country's institutions and called for the annulment of the election results. The EU and the US urged Serbia to address concerns about its electoral process after the assessment by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe found procedural issues.
It's time for a break, but I'm coming right back with lots more. Stay with us.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. David Hadley was a double agent. The Americans did not want him to be fully exposed, so all that he probably shared with the Americans was not shared with us in terms of intelligence. If we had that, I'm sure that we would have been able to deal with the situation far better.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Currently, the industry is facing a lot of challenges as far as demand is concerned. Basically, the US markets has slowed down because of high inflation.
So obviously, diamonds being a dream product, something which doesn't have a utility value or is seen as a luxury. So that obviously goes off your shopping list. That's the first item that will go off your shopping list, especially in recessionary trends.
That lab-grown diamonds are not mined and they do away with the entire mining. So they save up on all the environmental damage that is associated with mining and of course, the mining cost, which is why they're even more affordable.
People that is impacted by all these recessions are the artisans, are the people who work in this industry, right? But I think lab-grown diamond has allowed them to actually use their skills in the same product.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9+. Download now.
Yes, the scale of the attack surprised us.
When you get a series of alerts, 16 intelligence alerts, if Maharashtra government at that time had alerted the Coast Guard and the Navy, this 2611 would not have happened at all.
And one of the details they had planned was to use these dhagas to mislead the investigative agencies.
All this was to be presented as a Hindu terror.
So it was a Pakistan operation. The LET was the front end.
As the attacks were on, it was clear that they were planned and launched from Pakistani territory.
For all of those victims of terror that was exported from Pakistan over the years, including but not limited to 2611.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
It's been 81 days since Hamas's first attack on Israel. Since then, nearly 21,000 Gazans have lost their lives in the conflict between Hamas and Israel. Let's get you all the latest updates from the war zone on your screens right now. Egypt proposes three-phase plan to end the war between Israel and Hamas, according to reports. At least 250 people have been killed over the past 24 hours in central Gaza, according to Gaza. Netanyahu visits Gaza, vows a long fight in the Israel Hamas war. Ready to encourage Palestinians in Gaza to leave the enclave, says Netanyahu.
هذول أهداف الاحتلال بس غير هيك ما في رحمة الله عليك الله يرحمه.
An Israeli airstrike outside the Syrian capital Damascus has killed a senior advisor in Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Iran has threatened to make Israel pay for the killing of the senior IRGC commander.
A senior advisor in Iran's Revolutionary Guards has been killed in an Israeli airstrike on Syria. Iranian state TV interrupted its regular news broadcast to announce the death of Sayed Razi Mousavi, describing him as one of the Guards' oldest advisors in Syria. He is seen here with Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Guards' elite Quds force, who was killed in a US drone attack in Iraq in 2020. Iranian officials have vowed revenge for his death, with the president saying it showed weakness on the part of Israel. There was no immediate comment from Israel's military. Israel has for years carried out attacks against what it describes as Iran-linked targets in Syria. Tehran's influence has grown in the country since it backed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the civil war that erupted in 2011.
Prime Minister of Israel Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to keep up the fight against Hamas terrorists while Palestinians mourned the death of 100 people who the Gaza officials said were killed overnight in Israeli airstrikes.
The Israeli government on Monday released footage of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu clad in a helmet and Kevlar vest, arriving by tank to greet soldiers inside the Gaza Strip. He tells them the war is not over. It will end in total victory, no less than that. His remarks come after reports that the leaders of Hamas, the Palestinian Islamist group that governed Gaza, rejected an Egyptian proposal that they relinquish power in the enclave in exchange for a permanent ceasefire. That's according to two Egyptian security sources who spoke to Reuters on Monday. An official from Hamas later denied what the sources said about the talks. Fighting in Gaza erupted after Palestinian fighters rampaged through Israeli communities on October 7th, killing 1,200 and taking hundreds of captives. Israel retaliated with a full-blown invasion aimed at eradicating Hamas and bringing the captives home. Punishing airstrikes and ground maneuvers have transformed cities into wastelands, and Gaza's health ministry said last week the death toll had topped 20,000. Thousands more are believed buried beneath the rubble. The last 48 hours have been particularly deadly. At least 70 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on the Mughazi refugee camp in the middle of the Gaza Strip. A warning to viewers, this video includes graphic images of death and destruction. Ibrahim Mohammed Al-Haj Yusuf lost his wife and 4 children in the attack. He told Reuters, quote, "My wife and children are still trapped inside. I only managed to uncover my eldest son, Mohammed. What fault did they have? Why did this happen to them? It's not their fault. The world watches us die and being slaughtered. Are these the resistance? They are innocent children." The Israeli army said it was reviewing the report of the Maghazi strike and was committed to minimizing harm to civilians. Israel says Hamas operates in densely populated areas and uses civilians as human shields, which Hamas denies. Egypt and Qatar have shuttled between Hamas and Israel in an effort to reach some kind of a ceasefire that might provide for the return of hostages and the delivery of humanitarian aid. The Egyptian sources said that Hamas had rejected offering any concessions beyond the possible release of more hostages in exchange for a permanent ceasefire. Israel says it would consider a temporary pause in fighting in exchange for prisoners, but it would not consider a permanent ceasefire that leaves Hamas in control of Gaza. The footage released by Israel showed Netanyahu glad-handing with combat soldiers who pledge until the end. But back in Parliament that day, he faced heckling from some hostages' families. They chanted, "Now, now, now," and demanding that he pursue the release of captives at all costs. Netanyahu responded that an earlier ceasefire, which resulted in the release of some 100 captives, would not have happened without military pressure on Hamas. More than 100 Israelis are believed still held hostage in Gaza.
The U.S. military conducted targeted strikes on 3 facilities in Iraq used by Iran-backed forces, specifically Kataib Hezbollah and affiliated groups. This action was in response to a series of attacks against U.S. personnel in Iraq and Syria. President Joe Biden, according to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, is committed to taking necessary action to defend the United States, its troops and interests. Kataib Hezbollah, a Shiite militia founded in 2007 with support from Iran's Revolutionary Guards, was declared a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. in 2009. The group's secretary, General Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis, was also sanctioned for violence against U.S.-led coalition forces in Iraq. The recent increase in attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq is noted amid the conflict in Gaza between Israel and Hamas. Moving on, Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny, currently imprisoned, has been located in the Polar Wolf penal colony north of the Arctic Circle, as confirmed by his spokeswoman. This revelation comes after a period of over 2 weeks during which supporters had lost contact with him.
Jailed opposition leader Alexei Navalny has been located at a remote penal colony above the Arctic Circle, weeks after being reported missing within Russia's prison system. Navalny's spokesperson on Monday said he'd been tracked to a prison dubbed the Polar Wolf, some 1,900 miles northeast of Moscow. Spokesperson Kira Yarmish told Reuters that Navalny's lawyer managed to see him on Monday, the first time since supporters raised the alarm about his fate on December 6th.
The lawyer saw him today, so he is well, especially given the fact that he was transferred for 3 weeks to this place. So this is the information I have right now.
Navalny is among the highest profile political figures opposing Russian President Vladimir Putin. He has endured exile, assassination attempts, and now prison. Navalny earned admiration when he voluntarily returned to Russia in 2021 from Germany, where he had been treated for what Western laboratory tests showed was an attempt to poison him with a nerve agent. The Kremlin denied trying to kill him and said there was no evidence he was poisoned. His supporters cast him as a future leader of Russia, who will one day walk free from jail to lead his country, though it is unclear how much popular support he has inside Russia. For now, he is held in what is considered to be one of the toughest prisons in Russia. The Polar Wolf was founded in the 1960s as part of what was once the Gulag system of forced Soviet labor camps. Temperatures are expected to drop to negative 18 degrees Fahrenheit over the next week.
We know for sure that in this new colony, his conditions would be even worse than they were before. But the thing is that this colony is very distant. It is very difficult to access it. And for lawyers, it will be very, very difficult to go there and to see Alexei.
Navalny's lawyer suggested that Russian authorities wanted to isolate him ahead of the March presidential election. Navalny says he's been imprisoned because he is viewed as a threat by the Russian political elite. As a prisoner, he is unable to run in the election. He denies all charges he has been convicted of and casts Russia's judicial system as deeply corrupt.
Overnight, Russia launched 31 drones and 2 missiles at Ukraine, primarily targeting the southern regions. Ukrainian air defenses successfully destroyed 28 drones and both missiles. The attack originated from Russian-occupied Crimea. 2 Russian military aircraft were drowned near Mariupol and Donetsk. As reported by Ukrainian military officials, no damage or casualties have been reported by either military or civilian authorities. Both sides reported downing enemy aircrafts in different areas of the 1,000-kilometer-long, that is 621 miles, front of the 22-month-old war. A spokesperson from China's foreign ministry emphasized Beijing's unwavering commitment to safeguarding its territorial sovereignty and maritime rights. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning asserted that China remains resolute in its stance, yet expressed readiness to engage in negotiations and consultations with the Philippines to address maritime issues. The comments were prompted by Chinese state media commentary published on the same day, accusing the Philippines of relying on U.S. support to provoke China continuously. Recent months have seen heightened tensions between Beijing and Manila, with both sides exchanging accusations regarding incidents in the South China Sea. This includes allegations that China rammed a ship carrying the Philippine Armed Forces Chief of Staff earlier in the month.
首先，中方维护自身领土主权和海洋权益的决心坚定不移。一段时间以来，菲律宾利用仁爱礁等问题频繁挑起事端，并拉拢域外势力介入，中方不得不采取必要的措施，坚决应对。同时，中方对话的大门始终敞开。 我们愿意同菲方通过谈判协商妥善处理涉海问题，希望菲方悬崖勒马，不要在错误的道路上越走越远。
Britain's King Charles III with the royal family attended a Christmas service at St. Mary Magdalene Church on the Sandringham estate. King Charles was accompanied by his Queen Consort Camilla and also son Prince William, with Catherine and their children. Other attendees included Princess Anne and Timothy Lawrence, Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh, and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, along with Prince Andrew and Sarah, Ferguson. And that's all we have in this bulletin. Thank you for watching.
India's most high-profile prison, the Tihar jail, is now the headquarters of the country's most notorious crime syndicate. Lodged within these walls is a man who was once a rising student leader, a national-level athlete, and an aspiring politician. Today, he's India's most dangerous gangster. You know him as Lawrence Bishnoi. And India's prisons are apparently no bar to how Bishnoi runs India's largest criminal empire. On December 6, 2023, the city of Jaipur in Rajasthan was up in flames. Angry mobs blocked roads, torched tires, bringing the city to a halt. The reason, one day ago on 5th December, two shooters gunned down Sri Rajput Karni Sena chief Sukhdev Singh Gogabedi in his own home. The accused were associated with the Lawrence Bishnoi group. The orders for the hit came from their leader, Lawrence Bishnoi.
I think it is very important to take Lawrence Bishnoi very, very seriously, especially in view of the fact that this is someone who is sitting inside our jails and is still very obviously and openly running what may be among the, at least the most visible and possibly the largest organized criminal operation in the country.
As on gate, it appears that Lawrence gang is the most important, the prominent gang. And I'm sure that Lawrence Bishnoi, as on date, he can say that I'm that kind of don ki 19 मुल्कों की पुलिस मुझको ढूंढती रह जाएगी और they are intimidated.
Today, Bishnoi operates a group that is spread globally and is involved in drug and gun running, extortion and murder. But this gang lord's story actually begins in the small nondescript village of Dutranwali in Punjab's Firozpur district.
Look, Lawrence Bishnoi basically belongs to a district called Fazilka here, that's in Punjab only, Firozpur, part of Firozpur it was, now I think it's a separate district. Belongs to a very well-to-do family and there's no shortage or dearth of money, etc., etc.
Lawrence's father was a constable with the Haryana police. The family was decently well off, owning huge tracts of land in the area. Affectionately known as Milky for his fair complexion, Lawrence was a decent student and he was good at sports too. But this was Punjab. As a college student, Bishnoi would become involved in student politics. And thus he began his journey to national infamy.
स्टूडेंट लाइफ तो उसकी चंडीगढ़ में थी और MCM DAV स्कूल का पढ़ा हुआ है बाद